Dollar. Dirt and money, no soul. Had to go and get it, ain't no time to kick it. Got a stack of flip for my foes. Dollar. Please tell me you can hear me. Don't turn your back and don't neglect me. Just let me know if you need me. Dollar. Let me watch out for my partners. Keep my money long, get my team strong. Let me run away from my problems.
Yep, what's good, original crew, man? We're back. We got a new Patrick CC. Finally, Pat, a short joint. Short but not short. We got the tragic tale of Keanu Reeves and Drew Barrymore. I said it right. That time right. Yeah, I know it is. But hey, with the music, before we get into it, make sure you check out the links in the description box.
Down below.
You already know where to go if you want our further support. All you got to do is check out down below. Also, if you enjoyed today's visuals,
lock it in with a thumbs up.
We highly appreciate it. But let's go ahead and dive into it, man. Let's check it out. Let's see what it's about. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right, let's get it, yo.
Drew Barrymore was just 9 years old while suffering from the devastating effects of addiction. Because of her Hollywood success, she spent her nights and weekends in clubs with full-grown adults who were supplying her with substances. As if that wasn't crazy enough, her own mother was the one bringing her to these clubs and parties. With no father figure in her life, Drew had no way out of this darkness. That was until she met one man who understood her struggles on a deeper level, Keanu Reeves. Keanu had also been abandoned by his father. He also had dealt with the complicated life as a child actor. Therefore, he could not live in good conscience if he just watched Drew spiral down even further. And one night while Drew was at rock bottom, Keanu made a decision that would drastically change her future. It's a miracle Drew Barrymore made it out of Hollywood alive. And this is how it happened. The Barrymore family is one of the largest acting families in entertainment history, going back more than 400 years and spanning 7 generations. The family's roots in theater started in 18th century Europe, with Thomas Haycraft Lane and Louisa Roos Lane, who were traveling actors. At that time, traveling actors would move from town to town performing plays in town halls, inns, and even churches. Essentially, wherever they could gather an audience, they would put on a show. The Barrymore name itself was chosen as a stage name by Herbert Blythe, Drew Barrymore's great-grandfather, who became known as Maurice Barrymore. Maurice moved to the United States and married Georgiana Drew, who also came from an acting family. Georgiana's father, John Drew, owned the famous Arch Street Theater in Philadelphia, which was sadly demolished in 1936. Maurice and Georgiana became the parents of 3 legendary actors, Lionel, Ethel, and John Barrymore, who became known as the Royal Family of Broadway. These siblings found major success in theater and film during the late 1800s and early 1900s. Lionel Barrymore started on Broadway before moving to Hollywood, where he acted in over 200 films, including Grand Hotel and the Dr. Kildare series. He won an Academy Award for Best Actor for his role in A Free Soul. Ethel Barrymore also started as a stage actress who later acted in films and ultimately won an Academy Award for her performance in None But the Lonely Heart. John Barrymore was the most famous of the siblings. He starred in classic movies like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde and Dinner at 8. Unfortunately, John's son, who was also named John Drew Barrymore, had a lackluster acting career whose most notable appearance was in the TV series Gunsmoke. The family's name was almost entirely extinct from the entertainment industry, so all the pressure to keep the legacy alive fell on one innocent little girl, Drew Barrymore. Drew was born on February 22nd, 1975, and just 11 months later she would land her first acting role in a commercial for Puppy Chow dog food.
This is a baby, and this is a baby. They both have special nutritional needs. That's why a baby should have his very own baby food, and why a puppy should have his very own puppy food.
Barrymore appeared in a couple of TV movies and shows in her early years. At around age 4, she was cast in the TV movie Suddenly Love. Then she had a small role in the horror TV movie Bogey when she was around 5. Immediately after that, she made her first feature film debut in Altered States, which was a 1980 sci-fi horror film directed by Ken Russell. Although her role was small, it opened the door for her next film, which would drastically change her life. At age 6, Drew would secure a major breakthrough acting role in the iconic film E.T. the Extraterrestrial. E.T. is about a young boy named Elliot who discovers and befriends a friendly alien stranded on Earth. Elliot and his siblings hide E.T. from the authorities and help him find a way back to his home planet. Drew Barrymore played Gertie, Elliot's younger sister. Gertie is a curious, lovable character who quickly warms up to E.T. and helps her brother keep him a secret.
Elliot, look what I made for you! Is he a boy or a girl? He's a boy. Was he wearing any clothes? No, you can't tell. Not even Mom. Why not? Because, grown-ups can't see them. Only little kids can see them. Give me a break.
Drew's performance stole the hearts of millions around the world. Not only was she adorable, but her innocence represented the joy and wonder that we need to protect and cherish for our children. And it turns out she was just as pure behind the scenes.
Now, I believed E.T. was real.
You asked the wardrobe lady if you could have a scarf for E.T.'s neck, because he was going to get cold.
In June of 1982, E.T. became an instant classic after it grossed a whopping $800 million worldwide on a $10 million budget, which made it the highest grossing film of all time, and held that record for about a decade until it was broken by Jurassic Park. Drew Barrymore had a more successful career than 99.9% of actors before she barely even had a conscious mind. She was what people call today a Nepo baby, and while that may sound like a negative connotation, nepotism is actually a convoluted subject when you break it down. People often said that acting was in her blood or that she was born to act, meaning that she essentially inherited this amazing window of opportunity built off the hard work of her ancestors. Which is good, but that would also cause some people to hate her because there are so many actors that won't ever get the same chances or opportunities just because she is related to the right people with the right connections. However, there is a third way to assess nepotism that most people tend to ignore, and it is the ramifications that a child faces later on in life when they are essentially forced into a life or career without having any choice. Due to the success of E.T., you could argue that she not only honored but carried the legacy of her family's name. Unfortunately, her father did not care. He was merciless, violent, and abusive towards her. Drew's earliest memory of her dad was the time he tossed her into a wall. She was 3 years old. He also held her hand over the flame of a candle, telling her that pain is imaginary. Talk about someone who was not a careerist. He was like, "I will burn this effing dynasty to the ground," Drew said. Considering her life at home was so dark, it's actually pleasant knowing she found some solace on the set of E.T.
When I came onto this set, I was like, this is my family. Steven can be my dad, you can be like my mom, and you are my brothers.
Barrymore looked at director Steven Spielberg as a father figure. She says that he is the first person that ever cared about her.
We love each other. I go over to his house and we play games and we see each other a lot and we're still best friends.
Yeah, he's like the first person I knew cared.
Now, some people might think it could have done additional damage that Spielberg was kind of like a father figure, but not an actual father. So once it was time for him to move on with his career, he wouldn't be able to provide or care for her like he was when she was on the set of E.T.
That's one thing I was like, I know she's like super connected with somebody. I couldn't remember who it was, and I think it is Steven Spielberg, but I was like, I know there's someone like she's super close with. I can't remember though.
But Drew says this was not the case.
But isn't it sad when you look back at it? You had to look towards Steven Spielberg, the producer or director of the movie, for a father figure.
What? Who better?
Is it a good thing?
Yeah, it's a great thing. And by the way,
but didn't it crush you when he wasn't available to you? When Steven Spielberg becomes your father figure and he's not really your father, and then you go, where's Steven? I need him.
He was never unavailable to me.
After E.T., her child acting career skyrocketed. Steven then took Drew to Saturday Night Live, in which she became the youngest host in the show's history.
Relax, kid. You're gonna be just fine tonight.
Hey, come on. Can I get you a glass of milk, honey?
Milk? I'm a Barrymore. Get me a drink and make it a double.
If only they knew that get me a drink and make it a double wasn't exactly a joke. Sadly, at just 9 years old, Drew Barrymore's battle with addiction had begun. Her mother Jade got divorced from Drew's father and started solo parenting, which led to her mother taking Drew to the famous New York nightclub Studio 54. This club was highly exclusive, reserved for Hollywood elites to indulge in substances and animalistic fantasies. From the age of 8, Drew called herself a party girl, going out with her mother and her mother's friends to up to 5 times a week. I had a mom, but she was more like my best friend, said Barrymore. She was like, do you want to go to school and get bullied all day? Or do you want to go to Studio 54? And I was like, yes, absolutely. In Drew's 1990 book called Little Girl Lost, she describes what it was like to go to Studio 54, and there was nothing as invigorating as walking in and being engulfed by the thud of blasting music and the swirl of flashing lights. It was Disneyland for adults, only I got to be a part of it. We went out pretty regularly, sometimes once a week and other times up to 5, but nothing was ever enough for me. Being the youngest person at every party spoiled me. People treated me like a little toy, always telling me how cute I was, patting me on the head, or giving me a playful squeeze. However, since I was dependent on my mom, I couldn't always go when I wanted, which was all the time. This led to numerous arguments. I'd want to go out and party, my mom would want to stay home. I'd storm out anyway. She tells stories of using her little girl charm to convince grown men to give her alcohol. "Can I have a sip of your beer?" I asked. "Yeah, sure," he said, handing me the bottle. I'm sure he thought it was cute to give a little kid a sip of beer, but I quickly downed the remainder of his bottle. "Hey, I said a sip," he said, taking the empty from me. "Sorry," I shrugged coyly. "That's okay. You know, you just gave me my first beer," I said. "Really?" he said. "Cool."
Well, I had grown up very fast, and it's not very normal to see a 9-year-old at a big Hollywood party drinking. And it looks a little weird, and people were laughing and just saying, you know, I dare you to do this, and I did, and I got really drunk, and it was such a scary, frightening feeling, yet it was such an escape from everything else in the world that I had a very liking to it.
It's important to know that Jade...
You know, one thing I was thinking about, because, like, how he said her dad was so abusive to her and stuff. I'm like, is he lashing out on her because of whatever he has to deal with, especially when you got so much pressure from like a certain lineage and you're trying to carry on? Like, I'm not trying to make it sound like trying to get him a pass for what he did. I'm just trying to get an understanding of what he probably was going through to do what he did to her. And then was he also abusive to the mother? So that's the reason why her mom tried to have a certain type of relationship with her.
Yeah.
It's because they're dealing with abuse, and now it's like we're kind of free of this. I just want to have fun at all times with my daughter, no matter what.
No matter what, yeah.
But that's not the environment you need to put your child in, you know? What you looking at? Her mom?
Yeah, I was just trying to
Was her mom still alive?
Yeah, I was just trying to see was her dad still alive.
Because just imagine with that type of pressure, you know? Like, what was
her dad deceased.
He had passed away. What, this year? 2004.
2004.
Yeah, I saw a 4 on there. I didn't know it was a 2-4.
Wait, is this her dad? Yeah, I guess so.
Let me see.
It's just the year that he was born throwing me off.
Yeah, that's him.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, that's him. But, you know, like, I wonder has her mom ever spoke out and said anything, you know, like, yeah, I shouldn't have done that. I should have, you know what I'm saying, went about raising her and protecting her. But also, you never know what type of trauma someone might have and how they deal with it after going through that type of abuse. If it was 100% a lot of abuse going on in the household, well, like, who are we? Which we, like, I do understand, like, we, like, you know, a child shouldn't be in the club, but who are we to say, oh, no, you know? Because everybody deal with their trauma differently. But that doesn't make what she did was right, you know? I think the best thing, never mind.
In the world that I had a very liking to it.
It's important to know that Jade did not encourage, nor did she really know that Drew was drinking alcohol. Because Drew did
But you put her in that environment.
You know, like,
kids are very, like, sponges. If they see adults drinking, they gonna be like, oh, eventually I want, especially if I'm always there.
Yeah.
And was mom and dad possibly alcoholic as well?
I can't answer those questions.
I'm just saying, like, so say for instance, dad was always on the edge. He drunk and it kind of cooled him off, right? She might be like, oh, that was daddy's. You never know, bro.
Yeah, you don't know.
Jade did not encourage, nor did she really know that Drew was drinking alcohol, because Drew did everything she could to hide it. Then again, she wasn't really supervising Drew either. Like, what do you expect to happen when you bring a kid to bars and parties surrounded by adults multiple nights per week? Eventually, they're gonna get curious and want to try that drink that every adult around them is indulging in.
So you started drinking at 9? To prove a point, or to feel good, or to get drunk, or what?
Well, I didn't really know. I mean, when I was 8, I had had 2 glasses of champagne, and boom, I was like tipsy and, you know, bubbly, the life of the party. And I felt so good. All my problem had seemed, you know, to disappear for that hour that I was out of it. And I didn't realize that until I was 9 and I started casually drinking and realized,
Where would you get alcohol from at 9?
Parties, friends, bars, clubs.
What were you doing at bars at 9?
A lot of the time it was for parties that I was invited to. A lot of the time I would walk up and...
You know something that's kind of weird to me? Not like on her part because she was young and naive and or whatever the case may be, but the fact that she calls the grown people like her friends, or like grown men and grown women. I'm like, you shouldn't even look at them like that. And they shouldn't even look at you like that, or like indulge or support that behavior, or whatever the case may be. Condone that behavior. That's what I was looking for. But also, like, even like adults, period. But you do have some people like, I mean, like they look at it, it's not my child, it's not my relative, it's not my whatever, so they don't care. But there
it's not my responsibility.
It's not their responsibility, but it definitely was her mother's to make sure that she was straight, and making sure she was straight was not taking her to those clubs. But yeah,
going at bars at 9.
A lot of the time it was for parties that I was invited to. A lot of the time I would walk up and they would be like, oh, it's little Drew Barrymore. Come right in, good publicity, you know?
Even though Drew was excited to participate in the adult party scene, even she knew something was wrong with her circumstances. She was desperate for more strong male figures in her life. And luckily, in 1986, she would meet one, and his name was Keanu Reeves. Drew landed a lead role in a made-for-television Christmas musical called Babes in Toyland alongside Keanu.
Obscure masterpiece, Babes in Toyland.
Sometimes obscurity's good, but there was a good heart in that piece.
We had so much fun making it.
It was crazy. And Richard Mulligan, Jill Sholin.
Babes in Toyland was about a young girl named Lisa who was transported to Toyland, a magical place under threat from the villainous Barnaby Barnacle.
Have you ever seen this?
I feel like I have.
I saw this as a kid, and I can, like, if he never said anything, I would never remember. But I remember watching this at least once.
What is it called?
Babes in Toyland.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to go watch that. Write it down. Oh, I thought you were gonna write it down.
No, I was trying to stretch my. You said what?
Babes in Toyland. I've seen this before.
Like, it looks like it looks familiar.
With the help of her new friends, Lisa goes on an adventure to save Toyland and restore holiday cheer. The movie received largely negative reviews, but Drew is grateful this film brought her and Keanu together.
I feel like I would look around and see the behaviors of the people that I wanted to be like one day, and they were always the kind, humble, gracious, hardworking, lovely examples. You are so that.
I don't know. That's kind of you to say that. Kind of you to say. I mean, I love what I do, right? I mean, I love acting. I like rolling up the sleeves. I like going to work. And we ain't doctors saving lives, you know? But we can change lives. We can help, you know?
Now, Keanu is extremely humble. He doesn't take credit for the compliment and tries to just move past it and start talking about acting. But Drew wasn't complimenting him about his acting. And he knew that. He knew that she was talking about him being a positive role model for her, who at the time was a troubled child. And despite Drew recognizing that Keanu could be a positive figure in her life, they had no means of remaining in contact. But little did she know he would be there for her again at her lowest moment. Drew's alcohol use was not exclusive to party nights out with her mom. After school and on weekends with friends, she did everything she could to get loaded. By the time Drew was 11, she and the oldest boy had graduated from what they considered to be boring childish games to more mature activities, like raiding raiding his parents' liquor supply and drinking themselves into a stupor that had them sleeping away the better part of the next day. By 12, they added pot smoking and were getting stoned as often as possible. Drew even experimented with cocaine at age 12.
Probably was one night, I usually got to a point where I couldn't do anymore, or I didn't want anymore. Usually I stopped after a while, but one night I just kept going and going and going, and nothing, you know, I was partying for like 10 hours straight, or 12, 15 hours straight, and I just didn't stop, and I just like went black for a long time, and it was really scary, and I became a blackout drinker.
Naturally, you're probably wondering, how did it get this bad? Where was her mother? And how was Drew even able to hide this from her? Well, you have to remember that it was the 80s, where it wasn't uncommon for children, even as young as 8, to roam about in their neighborhoods with friends all day and return home in the evening. They had more independence, but instead of playing on the playground or riding bikes, Drew was smoking cigarettes and drinking beer, and Jade was not supervising or guiding her.
And where were you when she was going to parties and bars at 9?
I was never with her at bars at 9, but I would go with her to parties. There were a lot of industry functions and then private. So
yeah, you're going to deny that I wasn't with her at bars. Because that means how is the hell she getting in there? You the adult, so you're sneaking a child into a bar. So yeah, I'm going to deny the bar, but I don't have to deny the parties. You get what I'm saying?
But I would go with her to parties. There were a lot of industry functions and then private social/business functions. And when we got there, we would stay together for time. Then she would go her way and I would go my way. And not knowing about the problem, I was not as scrutinizing as I should have been.
You just decided to just let her have some space?
Yes.
9 or 10, that's exactly the age where you need some guidance, some definition, you don't need a parent to back off and give you space at 9 or 10, especially if you were where Drew was at that time.
Part of it was the fact that I didn't have a dad. I felt like my mom was abandoning me because she was always off at work.
And to get a glimpse at what lying to her mother might look like, here is Drew at 12 years old on national television using her charm to lie to Joan Rivers about her partying at the Helena nightclub.
So, gonna be 12, but you go out late at night. I saw you, Drew Barrymore, cha-cha-cha, at Helena's at like midnight.
Really? Oh, okay. Now see, there's an explanation. Okay, see, Helena, I really don't go to clubs. I mean, people think, oh yeah, she's like she goes out every night. That is not true. See, Helena is my godmother, so I like to visit her every once in a while. Very seldom, but I mean.
Anthony Kiedis, lead singer of the Red Hot Chili Peppers, wrote about it.
You think she probably taught how to lie? Just in case anybody asks her about it?
Possibly.
Especially with the fact that she does it so much.
Yeah, I mean, possibly. That's just like, for instance, somebody let you in somewhere or to give you some, hey, don't tell this, don't share this information, or don't tell this person, or don't don't tell anyone I gave this to you, or I let you, or whatever.
But with her doing it so much, you have to have her ready to respond.
Yeah.
It's low key like having somebody media trained.
Yeah, basically.
At the time seeing a 14-year-old Drew Barrymore at Studio 54. I did a double take when I saw 14-year-old Drew Barrymore at the bar, drinking with the Bukowski crowd. She was adorable, spoke with a potty mouth, and carried on as if she were in her 20s. I was straining to approach her but backed off. I'd been in enough trouble. The next time I looked, she was gone. A couple nights later, she reappeared in the same spot at the middle of the bar, entertaining the bartender. I pulled the trigger this time, and whatever I had to say, she bought. Anthony was 27 years old at the time, seemingly admitting to fantasizing about a 14-year-old. And if you think that might be a stretch, in his 2004 biography, he told a story about sleeping with a girl who confessed to him that she was 14 years old the next day. Then he admitted to sleeping with her one more time after knowing her age. Seemingly trapped in an endless cycle of drug addiction and surrounded by predators, all while trying to navigate the pressures of fame, working a full-time job, going to school, and thinking her mother doesn't care about her, Drew felt all of her problems would go away if she just did not wake up one morning. And at age 13, she attempted to make that her reality, but luckily, she was unsuccessful. Her mother recalled the incident saying, "She told me in confidence that it was nothing but a bid for attention," Jade says scornfully. Jade sent her daughter to an 18-month stint in a mental health facility in Van Nuys, California, where she was treated for addiction.
And when you go through those two doors, you do not come out. And I was there for a year and a half. I hated it. I kicked, I screamed. 1 minute you're at movie premieres and clubbing, and the next minute you're in a full-blown institution.
Drew's treatment was tough. She had to follow a strict, military-like routine. She had to do her schooling, then attend group therapy, and one-on-one therapy sessions. But as a rambunctious child, she could not help but act out.
And you couldn't mess around in there, and if you did, you would get thrown either in the padded room or get put in stretcher restraints and tied up.
Why were you so bad that you had to go in the padded room?
I grew up, you know, with like the Go-Go's and Wendy O. Williams and Blondie and all these like badass chicks. And I just sort of would like, you know, channel my inner riot girl. And I, you know, some days it was really funny. I would rile up all the girls and I'd be like, listen, this place, these people don't care about you. Let's fucking show them, all right, everybody. I would totally rile the entire joint up.
At first, Drew hated that her freedom had been stripped away from her, but then she gradually started to come around to the idea that she was getting the help that she desperately needed. From there, she began to confront her addictive behaviors and her underlying childhood trauma. It was the institution that suggested she legally separate from her mother and be declared an adult at 14. Barrymore says the experts there believed that if she were to go back out into the world, she'd be better off on her own. Just at the age most kids become freshmen in high school, Drew was living on her own in LA as a 14-year-old legal adult.
When I first lived in my apartment that I was so scared in, the truth was is that I would let the laundry and dishes and everything pile up. I didn't know how to clean. But this was where I learned how to take care of myself. You know, the books were the school, and this was like the domestic journey of learning how to live on your own. Kids don't know how to take care of themselves until you teach them.
Drew had incredible resilience. Unfortunately, word had spread throughout the industry that she was a drug-addicted lost cause, and nobody wanted to hire her for more acting roles. They just wrote me off as damaged goods, and I, sadly, understood that. Drew remained on the straight and narrow for 6 months, working at a coffee shop and trying to assimilate back into the real world. Sadly, she slipped back to her old ways.
Right, and on my 6th-month day, I celebrated by getting loaded. Yeah, really. Way to go, Drew. I got loaded that time because I wasn't doing it for myself at all. I was doing it to, like, not really impress everybody, but it had gotten out months before that I had a problem, and it was on the cover of the tabloids and everything. And I was so sick of hearing about it, I thought, okay, I'll just prove it to them, and I'll shut them up, and I'll do this. So when I was staying sober that time, I was doing it for everybody else.
Yeah.
And you just can't stay sober that way because you have to want it for yourself.
Drew seemingly accepted that her future was over. She would just live the rest of her life looking for her next high, and she had to, because the only way she could mask her shame was through drugs and alcohol. And although he is not a man of many words, Keanu Reeves understood Drew on a deeper level. Keanu's father, Samuel Reeves, struggled with substance abuse. He was in and out of prison for selling heroin until he ultimately abandoned his family when Keanu was just 3 years old. From there, he had various different men in and out of his life while his mother was dating. He lacked a father figure, just like Drew. Additionally, he was kind of an outcast in Hollywood like Drew. Early in his career, Keanu's agents told him that his name was too ethnic, which led to him temporarily changing his name to KC or Casey Reeves. Sure, he did eventually find success on the big screen, but his personal life did not get easier. In 1993, he lost his best friend and fellow actor River Phoenix. In 1999, he lost what would have been his one and only child after the baby was stillborn 8 months into his girlfriend's pregnancy. Although he and his girlfriend separated, they remained good friends, and she tragically passed away in a car accident less than 2 years after they lost their child. Wow. Keanu had every reason to be spiteful, angry at the world, and spiral into darkness. And despite all of these tragedies that weren't his fault, he somehow remained humble, kind, and caring for others. Although he gets praised for gifting his stunt crew custom Rolexes, gifting motorcycles to fellow cast members, or taking multi-million-dollar pay cuts to save films, he shows his true character through small acts of kindness, like showing up to his fans' weddings, giving his seat up to a woman on the subway, spending time with homeless people on the street, or taking time to speak with and listen to his young fans. So while seeing Drew at her lowest moment, he knew it was time for him to do something. On her 16th birthday, while Drew was in the club partying, Keanu Reeves tapped her on the shoulder. He was about to change her life.
I was at this club and it was my 16th birthday, and you came in and you walked in and you grabbed my hand and you took me outside. You put me on your motorcycle.
Oh my.
And you took me on the ride of my life, and I was so free. I was such a free human being. It was just this moment where I just remember loving life. I hold it so dear because the older we get, the harder it is to get to that feeling.
Keanu and Drew raced through Los Angeles on a motorcycle, giving her the feeling of freedom and bliss while being protected by someone she knew genuinely cared about her.
The reason I love Your Reputation so much is because I want to live my life by that. Is to be a good person, like at my job, with my kids, with my friends, in no such order. But there's a problem I have with rebellion and authority.
No, rebellion is good.
It is?
It is, of course. You can't just kick out rebellion. Rebellion is usually a thoughtful gesture.
Even though it feels so impulsive?
Yeah, but it feels good.
Yes, it does!
And if you're barking and, you know, it depends on what you do with your bite.
Drew saw life in a whole different perspective. She realized that giving into her addictions is not rebellion. That is surrender. Alcohol and partying was tying her down.
That is true. Like, giving into your addiction, whatever it might be, is like, that shows more of a, like your weakness. You're at that weak.
It has control over you,
Yeah.
and it's time for you to take control of the issue and face it head on.
Yeah. That's crazy though. But I am glad, like, because sometimes you do need to have a friend that also inspires you. Like, there's nothing wrong with like having friends that you can inspire and you look up to that might motivate you to do something else. Because I think some people won't. A lot of people look at friends as like, oh, I don't want a friend that what I'm looking up to a friend for. We on the same level. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think that's weird, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
A lot of people like are not. I like to be around people that inspire me to do something that I might been like afraid to do myself, like step out and do something out of my comfort zone.
Yeah,
that might. You
want someone around you that wants to see you win, wants to see you be great, like see you for who you are, not
even
the
just
thing.
that. I'm saying, but the way I'm saying it is, I aspire to like, cause you like I see you doing you. Damn, it's gonna inspire me to want to do.
I get what you're saying. Yeah. I get what you're saying. I'm just saying in this instance, I feel like it was more so he's seen her for who she was and not the things that she were doing or whatever the case may be, and he could relate to her on some type of level because he had went through that with his father, and he was like, I understood and I know how that feels, like to not have a father figure and to go down this spiral, and he was like just being the person that he is, he wanted to help her come up out of that some way, somehow. But you do have to want it for yourself, though. But sometimes someone may have to show you, like, this is what you can have if you leave all of that, behind. But I don't know, like, what was her, like, changing point, like, to make her be like, okay, this is, sorry, y'all, this is my time to, like, for real, take control.
Flip that switch and actually do something positive.
Yeah.
Like, because, like, my biggest thing is, like, with me, I like to be surrounded by greatness. Like, I like to be inspired, whether that is just living amongst a group of people that you, like, I'm not even on your level, but I see so much achievement around me where it makes me want to go harder, too. Or just surrounding yourself with people who are not afraid to achieve the highs of the highs. I think so many of us, we can get so comfortable with the, like, okay, I got here. No, there's another level you can get up to. And once you surround yourself with greatness or with other people who are trying to achieve more and more and more in life, you would then look to be like, damn, I gotta stop, you know what I'm saying, settling. Like, everybody else chasing goals and dreams.
Yeah.
Let me chase them joints too. Like, and then we can all, like, we all don't have to be in the same, like, because a lot of people like to surround themselves with people who are like-minded, but fail to realize like-minded can be a plethora of things. Y'all don't have to have the same passions. And so far as like, hey, I want to surround myself with other, let's just say rappers, because, you know what I'm saying, because I want to be a rapper, so I want to surround. No. Say, for instance, you want to be a rapper. This person wants to be in fashion. Both of y'all got goals that are, like, hard to achieve in life. But you seen them put in their work. Shit, I'm finna go put in the work, too.
That's what I think about when I think of, like-minded. Just someone that just me personally. I don't think, when I think of like-minded or even...
But I'm saying some people do, though.
Yeah, I was just, yeah.
Some people...
Yeah, I guess some people do. I was just saying, just...
Piggybacking.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm like, speak. I'm trying to let you, like, get it.
That's what I was saying. Yeah, I don't look at it like that, but I do know that some people look at it just like, oh, we have to be in the same, whatever it is, whatever career path or whatever the case may be. I don't look at it necessarily like that, or being like-minded or whatever the case may be. It's just like, we both want more. We both motivated. We both have passions to, like, reach the top, whatever that looks like for you. Then that's what it is. And you have those goals and y'all work towards them together or separately or however, but we gonna meet each other at the top type of thing. But yeah.
Not rebellion. That is surrender. Alcohol and partying was tying her down, not freeing her. Keanu was living proof that you can overcome your trauma. And after that night with him, she had to ask herself, am I gonna get back into acting and get my life together?
And I had to ask myself, like, did I really want to fight and prove to myself that I wanted to be here? And the answer was a really genuine yes. Like, it was my love. It was my passion. It's what my family has done since the silent films and theater and into the talkies. Like, I feel a genetic cosmic pull, and I love storytelling, and I love it. And that was a really cool revelation for me, that I love what I do and I'm not doing it for anyone else or for the wrong reasons.
From there, Drew slowly started to rebuild her acting career, landing a role in the film Poison Ivy at age 17. Although the movie wasn't a blockbuster hit, it proved she could focus, stay clean, and work in the industry. Many of her roles for the next few years were smaller, lesser-known films. She focused a lot more on producing and writing, seeing as working behind the scenes was more manageable and creatively stimulating for her. And whenever times got tough, she thought back to people like Keanu.
Until now, we have both had the privilege and fortune to keep going.
Yeah.
And what a gift and a blessing that is.
Yeah.
Drew went on to have a spectacular career, landing prominent roles in blockbuster hits like Batman Forever, the horror classic Scream, Never Been Kissed, Donnie Darko, Charlie's Angels, Confessions of a Dangerous Mind, 50 First Dates, Fever Pitch, and countless other hits. In 2009, she delivered one of her most praised performances in the HBO film Grey Gardens, earning a Golden Globe Award and a Screen Actors Guild Award. This highlighted her versatility and growth as an actress over her 30-year Hollywood career. Drew continues working in front and behind the camera, but has ultimately settled into becoming a full-time mother and talk show host with her very own show called The Drew Barrymore Show, which is currently on its 5th season. Now, there are many factors that led to Drew surviving the depths of addiction and the ramifications of a terrible childhood. And let's not minimize the lifetime of hard work that she put in to overcome her setbacks. But Keanu's actions started a butterfly effect of her becoming the prosperous and gracious person we know today. You never know what somebody else is going through. And even if you think you do, simply the smallest act of virtue can drastically change the outcome of their future. So next time you have a chance to act, ask yourself, what would Keanu Reeves do?
That was dope, man.
That was. I didn't realize how many movies of hers that I've like watched.
Actually seen.
Like seen and enjoyed. Like,
you think she really actually has had a successful career?
Yeah, like what does success look like? Like what is like success may look different to different people. So yeah, I do.
I say this because just to kind of.
Is she where she possibly maybe? Are you asking me? Is she where she could? I don't know what you.
I think her career still shows success.
Mm-hmm.
Some would have also said her career showed success, even if she never acted again beyond the age of 15, being blackballed.
Yeah.
Some people will still say you still had a success. Like, you got one of the greatest films of all time in E.T. That at such a young age, but I think she overdid the success, even being able to bounce back from, you know what I'm saying, being blacklisted and be able to come back and achieve so much. Because like one of her biggest hits, like iconic that I 100% remember her. Then I'm like realizing like, damn, but was Charlie's Angels, and I'm like, yeah, that's Drew Barrymore from Charlie's Angels.
Yeah.
That's how I look at it every time I see it. I guess sometimes it's because of how you're introduced to them, like that one film that you like 100% know them from.
Yeah,
you're like, oh yeah, that was one of the first movies that I recognized her from. But I did forget she was in Scream.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I thought I was seeing something.
I don't know. You'd be seeing probably never mind.
Huh?
Never mind.
But no, I'm just looking at like her movies and shows.
Catalog,
and stuff.
Bro.
Yes, she does. Like, stem it back, yeah. But
that's crazy.
I didn't realize like how many like I was like, oh my gosh, I seen that. I like that. Yeah. So. But yeah, I think she's successful on.
I think she's dope, bro.
On the screen, behind the, you know, like I do. I think that she's very successful.
Yeah.
But yeah, but I have heard her story. I've heard her talk.
Before.
I didn't know detail. But I did hear her speak. Like, you know,
I didn't know about the clubbing and stuff.
I didn't know, but I knew
she had a young addiction at a young age.
Yeah, I did know that, but I didn't know like all the details.
And I knew she was a legacy, a legacy actor.
Yeah.
And I knew she was connected to somebody famous, and I forgot it was Steven Spielberg. But the whole with her mother and like who her father was. You didn't know all of that. But I knew she was that Barrymore, and that I knew they had a legacy. Didn't know the details of it, and on that level. But hey, man, y'all spam us up. Y'all let us know y'all thoughts and opinions about it for us in the comment section down below. But until next time, y'all know how it go, man. I do go by the name DJ New Kid. This is
Sierra Nicole.
We are.
Kid and C.
We are.
Peace.
Time to kick it, got a stack of flip for my folks. Dollar.